Imagine a grand hall where a symphony has been playing at a flawless, resonant pitch, the kind of music that bypasses the intellect and vibrates directly in your marrow. You did not just hear it, you breathed it. The connection was undeniable, a merging of two sovereign minds. Then, mid-crescendo, the power is cut. The absence of sound is so absolute, it creates a vacuum. The air grows heavy. The man who just days ago stood with you in the deepest waters of intimacy has vanished behind an invisible wall. You are a woman of profound substance. You navigate the complexities of your world with sharp intuition and grace. You do not chatter easily, yet this plunging, sudden quiet leaves you entirely disoriented. The anxious heart begins to whisper. It tells you the symphony was an illusion. It tells you a sudden departure means the theater is closed forever. But you are misreading the room. This is not an ending. This is not a rejection of your light. What you are witnessing is a demolition. You are listening to the sound of a masculine soul undergoing a total structural recalibration. Today, we will decode the architecture of this retreat. We will reveal why the avoidant soul must pull away precisely when the connection reaches its absolute peak. And by the end of this realization, the heavy vacuum of his absence will no longer invoke panic. It will become the birthplace of your ultimate sovereign peace. To truly understand the sudden silence of the man you love, we must first examine the invisible architecture of the masculine psyche. The masculine nervous system is fundamentally wired for structure. It thrives on compartmentalization. It seeks control. From a very young age, a man is taught to build fortresses. These walls are not born of malice. They are born of survival. Society demands that he be the pillar. He is taught to value logic over emotion, action over intuition, and doing over simply being. Over a lifetime, he constructs a rigid internal world to navigate the unpredictable chaos of the external world. He becomes the master architect of his own safety. He knows exactly where every emotion is stored. He knows exactly which doors must remain locked. He has a system, and for years, this system has kept him safe. And then you arrive. A high-frequency woman does not enter a man's life with a set of blueprints. She does not bring structure. She brings the ocean. When your energy collided with his, a profound state of quantum entanglement occurred. Your energetic field is rich. It is deep. It is emotionally boundless. You do not ask him to perform. You ask him to feel. For a fleeting, miraculous moment, the sheer purity of your connection bypassed his lifelong defenses. He allowed the heavy drawbridge of his fortress to drop. He stepped out of his heavy armor. He experienced the divine, terrifying ecstasy of true vulnerability. He tasted a union that his soul has craved for lifetimes. But this level of sacred union demands a heavy toll. The human nervous system can only hold so much light before it begins to blind. The sheer intensity of your presence acts as a flawless, unyielding mirror. And in that mirror, he does not just see your beauty. He sees everything within himself that remains unhealed. Your light floods the dark, dusty corridors of his psyche. It illuminates his hidden inadequacies. It exposes the false ego constructs he has relied on for decades. He sees his past failures. He confronts his deep-seated fear of unworthiness. He is suddenly faced with the terrifying question of whether he is truly enough for a woman of your magnitude. Intimacy of this depth stops feeling like a romance. It begins to feel like a relentless interrogation of the soul. Psychology refers to this sudden withdrawal as avoidant activation. But in the realm of spiritual psychology, it is a masculine, energetic overload. His nervous system simply cannot process the immense voltage of the connection. The high frequency of your presence has literally short-circuited his survival mechanisms. His body interprets this profound emotional exposure not as love, but as an existential threat. The unawakened counterpart within him panics. The ego sounds a deafening alarm. It screams that he is losing control. It warns him that if he stays in these deep waters, he will drown. He will dissolve entirely. The ego's primary job is to keep him exactly where he is. To the ego, spiritual expansion feels exactly like death. This is the paradox that breaks the anxious heart. You assume his retreat means he does not care, but he does not pull away because he feels nothing. He pulls away because he feels absolutely everything. The emotional data is simply too massive to process while remaining in direct contact with you. If he stays in the fire of your presence, his entire psychological framework will collapse. The avoidant soul retreats to survive the expansion. He builds the glass wall not to keep you out, but to keep himself from shattering into 1,000 pieces. He is experiencing a systemic shutdown. His silence is not a punishment. It is not a manipulation. It is a physiological and spiritual necessity. It is the desperate attempt of an overloaded nervous system trying to find its baseline when a man is undergoing a profound ego death. He cannot do it while holding your hand. The presence of your energy, no matter how loving, is still a demand on his system. He must turn down the deafening volume of the outside world. He must step away from the mirror. He must retreat into the absolute quiet. It is only in this heavy, isolated silence that he can finally hear the breaking of his own internal chains. He is not running from you. He is running into the forge of his own transformation. You must stop looking at his silences as an empty void. The anxious heart views sudden distance as a tragic ending. It feels like a profound abandonment of everything you built together. But to navigate this high-level union, we must shift this paradigm entirely. You must begin to see his absence not as a vacuum, but as a forge. In the realm of spiritual psychology, profound transformation rarely happens in the blinding light of connection. It happens in the dark. It happens in the heavy, isolated quiet of solitude. When your connection reached its absolute peak, a massive transfer of energy occurred. You poured the sheer brilliance of your spiritual light into his energetic field. But light cannot simply be received and held instantly by a system accustomed to the dark. It must be metabolized. It must be integrated into the very cells of his being. This integration is a monumental task. It requires absolute stillness. To understand this physiological necessity, we look to the deep wisdom of Carl Jung. Jung spoke of an ancient psychological blueprint known as the Hermit archetype. The hermit is the wise man who willfully leaves the comfort of the village. He steps away from the relentless noise of the external world. He leaves behind his relationships, his daily routines, and his known identity. he deliberately enters the dark, solitary cave. He does not do this to escape his life or to punish those who love him. He does this to discover the absolute truth of his own existence. Right now, your masculine counterpart has fully embodied the hermit. He has entered the cave of his own psyche. He is not hiding from your love. He is hiding from the noise, so he can finally hear the quiet voice of his own soul. Inside this dark cave, he is doing the invisible, heavy lifting of spiritual evolution. During your peak moments of intimacy, you showed him a completely new way to exist. You introduced a frequency of unconditional love that his nervous system had never previously encountered. Now, he must fundamentally restructure his internal architecture to actually hold that high frequency. He is actively battling the shadows he has successfully avoided for a lifetime. He is grieving the necessary death of his old, unawakened identity. He is dismantling his protective fortress, brick by heavy brick. This is a violent, exhausting, and deeply private process. It is the sacred alchemy of the masculine soul. He simply cannot perform this alchemy while simultaneously tending to your emotional needs. He cannot rebuild his foundation while you are standing on it. Consider the profound metaphor of the caterpillar entering the chrysalis. Once inside that protective shell, the creature does not simply grow wings and emerge, it completely dissolves. It turns into an unrecognizable state of biological chaos before it can reorganize into a butterfly. When you are standing outside that cocoon, the anxious heart begins to spin with panic. You desperately want to know if he still loves you. You want to know if the connection was a beautiful illusion. You feel the overwhelming urge to send a long paragraph of text. You want to demand clarity from a man who is currently formless. But if you rip open the chrysalis to check on the process, you do not get clarity. You kill the butterfly. You fatally disrupt his sacred recalibration. Your anxiety, no matter how justified it feels in your body, acts as a sharp blade against his fragile transformation. A high-frequency man cannot lead a true union from a place of integrity until he has fully mastered himself. He cannot be your king if he is still a slave to his own unhealed trauma. If he tries to stay in the intense fire of the connection without doing this solitary work, he will inevitably burn out. He will build deep resentment. He will unconsciously project his unhealed wounds onto your open heart. He must go into the dark to integrate the radiant light you gave him. The silence is the only environment where he can rebuild himself into a man capable of standing beside you. He must find his own sovereign grounding so he does not crumble under the weight of your profound depth. This agonizing separation is not a punishment for loving too much. It is the profound grace of the universe, giving him the exact crucible he needs to rise to your extraordinary level. So, what is your exact role in this profound, heavy silence? How does a sophisticated, spiritually awake woman navigate this agonizing gap in time without losing her mind? You are standing on the edge of a massive energetic void. The anxious heart naturally wants to fill this void with immediate action. It desperately wants to fix the disconnect. It wants to reach out, to analyze, to demand a logical explanation. But you must violently resist this primal urge. You must step fully into the role of the holder of space. You must master the profound, ancient art of energetic neutrality. This is not about playing psychological games. This is not about giving him the silent treatment out of spite or anger. It is about a fundamental structural shift in your energetic posture. There are 3 specific internal shifts you must make today. These shifts will reclaim your sovereign peace. They will also allow the connection, the necessary oxygen to breathe and evolve. First, you must drop the quantum thread. Because you have experienced a genuine sacred union, the two of you are energetically entangled. You share an invisible, highly sensitive tether. When you sit in a state of high anxiety, you activate this tether. When you constantly check your phone for a message, you pull the thread. When you analyze his social media or obsessively ruminate over his absence, you are aggressively yanking on that connection. In the quantum field, distance does not exist. He feels this tension in his physical body. He feels your anxiety as a heavy, suffocating drag on his own energy. To his overloaded nervous system, your worry feels exactly like a demand. It feels like an obligation he cannot currently fulfill, and it will only make him retreat much deeper into the dark cave to escape the suffocating pressure. You must drop the rope. You must shift into absolute energetic neutrality. Consciously withdraw your invisible, emotional tentacles from his energetic field. Let him feel the sudden, surprising lightness of your total absence. Give him the profound, necessary gift of missing you. Let the silence actually be silent. Second, you must aggressively reclaim your center of gravity. In your beautiful, pure desire to love this man, you have accidentally made him your son. You have slowly, unconsciously begun to orbit his moods. You orbit his presence. Now you are orbiting his silence. This is a subtle but dangerous abandonment of your own kingdom. You have displaced your own life force to monitor his. You must remember exactly who you are. You are an accomplished, sovereign woman. You are an entire universe unto yourself. You must pull your gravity back into your own core. Redirect the intense, burning focus you have placed on his healing process. Pour that massive creative energy back into your own empire. Pour it into your career. Pour it into your physical body. Pour it into your art, your friendships, and your joy. When you become the blazing center of your own universe again, your energetic frequency naturally rises. And he will feel that magnetic, undeniable pull from deep inside his isolation. He will feel the shift in the wind when you stop waiting for him to dictate your weather. Finally, you must master the delicate art of the open gate. The anxious heart is fundamentally terrified of loss. It wants to build a secure cage. It wants to lock the heavy iron door so he can never leave and trigger this pain again. But high-frequency love is never a cage. True spiritual union requires absolute, terrifying freedom. You must hold a space that allows him to return without the crushing pressure of expectation. You must remove the heavy weight of your hidden resentment. There can be no bitter lecture waiting for him at the door when he finally emerges. You simply leave the gate wide open. You declare to the universe that he is entirely free to stay in the cave. You declare he is entirely free to walk through this gate. But you make one thing absolutely clear to your own soul. You will not stand by the gate waiting in the cold. You will continue tending to your beautiful, thriving garden. You will sit comfortably on your own throne. If he returns, he must return to a queen in her full, radiant power. He does not return to a beggar waiting for emotional crumbs. This is the ultimate posture of sovereign love. It is the only frequency that can sustain the union you deeply desire. The journey of sacred union is not for the faint of heart. It is a path of fire designed to burn away everything within us that is false. His silence is not your enemy. It is a profound, necessary teacher. It is testing your sovereignty. It is asking you, can you maintain your own frequency when the external validation is removed? Understand this deep in your bones. You did not break the connection. You triggered his evolution. And now he must walk that solitary path to catch up to the frequency you naturally inhabit. So I leave you with this final thought to carry with you into the quiet days ahead. If the king is in his cave, will you remain sitting on your throne? Or will you abandon your kingdom, crawling through the mud just to knock at his closed door? Stay on your throne. Until next time, hold your space and trust the silence.